Hello everybody, this is TipTop MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we are going to be playing some Historic, using some new cards from the Mystical Archive. Well, actually only two, but the main one here is Mizzix Mastery. So this deck is built around this card. It's a 4-cost sorcery that allows you to exile an instant or sorcery from your graveyard and essentially cast it for free. So it's kind of like a reanimator spell, like an Unburial Rites, but that targets instants and sorceries. So this is how our deck works. It uses lots of effects that draw us cards and make us discard cards to both fill our graveyard and get us to Mizzix Mastery as fast as possible. Then we use Mizzix's Mastery to cast one of our big spells for very, very cheap. A lot of the time, this is going to be Emergent Ultimatum, which is one of the most powerful cards, just like in Historic and Standard, because it's essentially a 4-mana Emergent Ultimatum. But it can also be a 4-mana Alrund's Epiphany or Sublime Epiphany, or Time Warp, or even an Unburial Rites if we need it. Although it has flashbacks, you probably wouldn't do that. And then we're essentially going to cast Emergent Ultimatum. And assuming we haven't drawn any of the cards, we are always going to choose Omniscience, Obnixilis, and Peer into the Abyss. And for those who don't know how this card works, essentially you show your opponent 3 cards from your library, they pick one, you get the other 2 for free. And so how this combo works is that they have to give you Obnixilis and Omniscience. If they do not, they lose the game. If they pick Peer into the Abyss, you get if they pick Obnixilis, you get half the cards in your library and can cast them all for free. If they pick Omniscience, if they pick Omniscience for you not to get, you get Peer into the Abyss and Obnixilis, which will instantly kill your opponent. So the only way they can win that is to give us Omniscience, which essentially turns every copy of Emergent Ultimatum into Omniscience, which means every Mizzix Mastery can potentially be Omniscience, which is really, really good. So yeah, we're trying to fill our graveyard. We also have Auric Lore Mage in here, which you can tap to put a card from your library. You get to search your library for a card and put it in your graveyard, and if it's an instant or sorcery, it gets bigger. It will almost always be an instant or sorcery. And if the game goes really, really long, we might be able to Mizzix Mastery Overloaded to get all of the cards from our graveyard. But that's not really what we're generally doing here. Our big creature here is Scholar of the Lost Trove because it kind of does a similar effect, which cheating this into play using Unburial Rites is pretty good. This thing can be cast from the graveyard, so you don't necessarily need to worry about keeping it in your hand. And then it can maybe, be targeted. It can target a Scholar of the Lost Trove, which can get, one of these other spells. So it's very, very interesting. It's been a lot of fun to play. So we're just going to play it. It is a historic deck. I was going to originally do a standard deck today because, I like to go back and forth, but honestly, Mystical Archives have been so much fun. Now, I do want to mention there is a ban coming on Wednesday, which will have been yesterday from when this video comes out. So if we're playing Historic and there was a Historic ban, and you see one of those cards, that's why this was recorded the day of the ban. So this was recorded Wednesday. So we still don't know what's banned as of this point. Either way, looking at this hand, it is okay. World Tree kind of sucks as a land here. If it was something that tapped for white, I would definitely keep it, keeping Thrilling Discovery to discard both of these cards. But I think I'm actually going to roll the die, and we're just going to Fabled Passage out for a white mana just immediately. Or do we go... Huh. Our other option is to not do that, and then hope Faithless Looting gets us something. Honestly, I think that's the play. We're going to Faithless Looting for 1. It does not get us what we necessarily want, but we are going to discard these 2 cards. Worst case scenario, next turn we play Fabled Passage, go get ourselves a Plains, then return 3, Thrilling Discovery, which by that point we'll have drawn so many cards, there's no way we don't have a land that comes in untapped and taps for more than green. Yeah. So yeah, right now, what we're really just trying to do is get to 4 mana. Once we do, we get Omniscience. Assuming they don't have any graveyard hate, which they are in black, which is the most likely to have that. So yeah, looking pretty good. We'll be able to flashback Faithless Looting as well. So we're going to be able to just turn through our deck very, very, very quickly. I really like this deck because it does counter some things in the meta. While it's not necessarily prevalent in Historic, some people do try running some mill. And so this is a nice little counter to it because you put stuff in the graveyard. It's actually just going to really help. So yeah, looks like our opponent is either timing us out or got disconnected. I'm going to have the benefit of the doubt and say he got disconnected, but maybe he saw these 3 cards and realize I hate all of those. Uh, I'm actually going to brainstorm first. Okay, cool. Now this changes a couple things. So we're guaranteed. Actually, no, we can get rid of whatever cards we put up here. Okay, so we're gonna put the Triome, honestly, and World Tree up here. Doesn't matter because then we're gonna play Fabled Passage and crack it for a white. I know I should have not done this immediately, but I just want to make sure I don't forget. And that essentially shuffles those cards into our library, which is actually what is so awesome about Fabled Passage and Brainstorm is it's essentially draw 3, shuffle 2 into your library for 1 mana, which is really, really good. Normally it's not that good. But with Fable, actually it is still really good. I'm not going to say it's not good. But it is extra good. Honestly, I think we're just gonna... You may discard 2 cards, so I discard Glasspool Mimic and Prismari Command. Or I could cast Prismari Command and then draw 2, discard 2, and create a treasure or kill something. Or yeah, yeah, we're gonna do this. Honestly, I'm gonna deal 2 damage and this. So we're going to deal 2 damage to the Knight of the Ebon Legion before it gets too big for the spell to hit it, and then we're gonna draw 2, discard 2. That really sucks to get right here because it kind of ruins our little combo. But if we discard it, we can effectively replace it. And it actually may end up working out well because our opponent may not realize that's in our graveyard. And so when we give him the option of Scholar of the Trove, it will effectively be the same option as if I was casting it. I just have to make sure I'm ordering these in the right order. Which it's been a while since I've done this combo with those 3 cards, so I might mess it up this first game, but yeah, it'll be a nice learning experience for all of us. Every time I've cast the Ultimatum with Mizzix Mastery, the opponent concedes. That's been what's happening, which I don't blame them at all. It looks like their deck is all about recursion, which is kind of cool. But yeah, we are going to shock this in, pay 4 mana to Mizzix Mastery the Emergent Ultimatum. So then we're going to cast it, and I know exactly what I'm going for. I'm going for Scholar of the Lost Trove, Omniscience, and Obnixilis. So I'm going to let him choose what he wants. He's not going to give me Omniscience. That's my prediction. But we shall see. So yeah. So whatever gets... This will get cast first, which means it gets resolved second. So we're going to do this. So we're going to play Scholar of the Lost Trove. And then we're going to get it. I think he realizes that he messed up. And then we win the game right there. I guess maybe he was relying on the fact that I didn't know the order to play him. I don't know. That is something you do have to be careful of. If I did select those the other way around, it would have basically Omnixilis. Actually, I think I did do that backwards. Oh my gosh, I did. I did that backwards. I not even just clicked them in the wrong order. I just thought in the wrong order. You need to make sure that Omnixilis hits the battlefield first. So you want to click on him last. Because if you get the effect essentially without, if you get him to draw half his library and lose half their life, and then Omnixilis hits the battlefield, he's not dealing that 1 damage for each card they draw. So keep that in mind. I just messed it up mentally in my head. But yeah, let's jump into another game. This deck is definitely very combo-y in nature, but I think it's kind of interesting. There are some other cards that I've only seen a couple times. Final Parting is one of those, which is it's a little bit expensive, but you can discard it generally, and maybe you'll cast it with a Mizzix Mastery later on. This hand doesn't feel amazing, even though it does have that Mizzix Mastery in it. I think we keep this and get rid of Final Parting, and then I do think we are going to play the Triome, and then potentially into the Glasspool Mimic. Yeah. So they're going to make us discard a card. I really don't care. The only one that would kind of suck... No, actually, I really don't care. It would kind of suck if they pick Glasspool Mimic, because that is my backup if I don't draw a land. But if I don't draw a land, I probably can Faithless Looting into one. So they're probably going to pick... Okay, so they pick Emergent Ultimatum, which isn't the right choice, in my opinion. The right choice is Glasspool Mimic. But we are going to Faithless Looting first. We do get that land. We're going to discard Scholar of the Lost Trove and Burial Rites. I wonder if it's obvious what I'm doing. And then we're going to play this Clifftop Retreat into the other Faithless Looting, discarding Peer into the Abyss and Brainstorm. So now we have this little thing where at 4 mana we unburial rights the Scholar of the Lost Trove to then cast the Peer into the Abyss, which I think is kind of interesting. So then we are going to do this, discarding both our cards. It's very risky, but I want to see what happens here. I like it. It may have been a bad idea. It actually was a bad idea, especially because, yeah, that sucks, but whatever. We are going to simply play this land and then pass the turn. Um, Actually, we can Faithless Looting, I think. Yeah, and then we can discard the Scholar of the Lost Trove because I really don't see me ever hard casting that and the Steam Vents. Next turn, we Mizzix Mastery, hoping they don't leave mana open because it does look like they're in a control deck. Yeah, that sucks. So what we're going to do is, because we don't have that great of a target, I mean, like, we're going to Unburial, right? So instead of revealing the Mizzix Mastery from our hand, I'm just going to do stuff with the information they have. Okay, so they didn't have a counter spell for that, meaning that we can't Emergent. I didn't realize we had an Emergent Ultimatum. He may just counter the Emergent Ultimatum, but that would be kind of weird. He might as well. I see. I see. This actually killed him, essentially. Um, so we are going to choose Omniscience. We are going to choose Omnixilis, and we are going to choose Peer into the Abyss, which we don't have. So we are going to choose Scholar of the Lost Trove as our like third option there. That's one of the great things is normally you do have to worry about, oh, what if I draw them? But oftentimes this deck will just discard it, and then Scholar of the Lost Trove is kind of that like missing piece. It also means an Emergent Ultimatum can go cast an Emergent Ultimatum if you have 2 in your graveyard, which I find really fun. So, probably thinking about what I can do. He picks the right choice. So we do get both of these, which will suck for him, because I can still just Mizzix Mastery. He doesn't know that, but I can Mizzix Mastery the Peer into the Abyss and then just kill him on the spot. Yep. So that is like a really tough situation. There's actually no choice he can make where he wins because he made the right choice in terms of not killing himself. But you'll notice that they don't know that I have Mizzix Mastery in my hand, which allows me to cast it for free. So yeah, that if you have a Mizzix Mastery in your hand, when that combo goes off, you win the game, assuming they have no interaction like available at that exact moment. So let's jump into another game. You'll notice these games are actually going very, very quickly. This is really crazy powerful, and it's been a lot of fun to play. I've yet to play it in ranked. Just because generally when I'm first testing out a deck and messing around with it, I like to play a little bit of not ranked just so I can understand the deck before jumping in. But it's been just a lot of fun. I like this style of deck where it's not necessarily just playing creatures and then attacking with them. Very similar Arc-like Phoenix decks. Like, I don't know, it's very resilient. Like this deck, oh, you counterspell my stuff. I don't care. I wanted it in the graveyard anyway. And oftentimes I feel like I get frustrated with removal heavy decks. And this deck is a little bit more resilient to that. Oh, isn't that lovely? My cursor's all weird. We'll put Omnixilis back into the deck, and then we'll actually just use a Fabled Passage turn 1, which doesn't feel great, but I do want to make sure that I have a red mana next turn to fix things with Faithless Looting. All right, that is probably one of the best things we could pull. We are going to Faithless Looting first, discarding probably Sublime. No, we're going to discard Emergent Ultimatum and Burial Rights. And then we're going to play the Ragavan Triome. And so now we are essentially rushing to 4 mana, hoping that they don't do anything too crazy. And actually, this is an elf deck, which is completely fine by me. We actually now will be able to do some pretty crazy stuff. So let's Faithless Looting. That doesn't feel great. Did I already discard one of the cards for this combo? No. Huh. The enchantment Omniscience is one of the worst ones to get, like, put into your hand. I probably should have thought about that a little bit more. We'll discard Sublime Epiphany and the Fabled Passage. I don't believe I have any way in my deck to cheat this now, which was kind of stupid. I guess Brainstorm. I can put it back on top of my library, but that's a little yikes. Let me make sure. Gospel Mimic doesn't target enchantments, right? And no, it's instant sorcery or artifact. Okay, so that sucks. But we are still getting an Emergent Ultimatum off pretty good. You could throw 2 Omniscience in the deck, but then I feel like you would draw it too often. Oftentimes they will just concede here. So we are going to go Omnixilis. Peer into the Abyss, and then just something utterly awful for them. Um, do I have anything good to target in here? No. I'm actually considering Brainstorm, but that feels a little off. It doesn't feel like the right move there. Hmm, what to do? This pulling of Omniscience really threw off my plan, and that is definitely a weakness of the deck. I think we just pick Alrund's Epiphany and scare them into picking, like, Omniscience. Or not Omniscience, it's not even there. I'm hoping to scare them into picking it, but they probably just won't let me get Peer into the Abyss. That's probably the right move there. Huh. So we just win. So we are gonna target them with this, and then we're gonna play Omnixilus. Good game. And so then they lose half their life, and then they lose a life for every card they draw. So 25 triggers of damage go on the stack. So yeah, that is how that combo works. We actually got it to go off there. They could have definitely survived. But it's very, very fun. In my opinion, it's very, very combo-y, which is a little different than last week with Is It Phoenix. I was originally going to do a deck tech this week, but I decided I'd rather make them a little bit higher quality and give myself more time in between releases. So you should expect that probably next week. And we probably will talk about a different format other than like historic. Probably maybe a brawl deck, or maybe I'll look at what the festival for the week is and do something with that. We'll see. All right, this hand I really don't love. So we'll mulligan. This hand seems significantly better. I'll discard this Auric Mage. So we definitely want to discard Emergent Ultimatum. I think that's what we just do. I think we Faithless Looting, discarding Emergent Ultimatum, and Final Parting. And then we actually have gotten that like every game now, but we are essentially racing up to 4 mana. That's pretty good. If we can get that into our graveyard by the time we cast Mizzix Mastery, which we can, because turn 3 we're Faithless Looting again. That means that Mizzix Mastery, one of the targets, if for some reason I draw like an Omniscience, can be another Emergent Ultimatum, which I think would be kind of hilarious because of that Scholar of the Lost Trove interaction, or even targeting a Mizzix Mastery. But you'd generally rather get the Scholar of the Lost Trove because it's also a creature. That sucks. That, like, very much sucks. Maybe we won't be casting Faithless Looting. Alright, so this is your typical control deck. I'm not going to cast Faithless Looting. I'll leave open Prismari Command. And if they use Narset again, we can target it. But we'll just see what they do. We are guaranteed have Mizzix Mastery next turn, so we shall see. And actually, if they give us an Omniscience, which they have to not die, then it'll be fine. Also, I feel like it might actually be good to keep Narset around. I'm still going to kill her. But, you know, it might give them the illusion of, oh, this guy's going to accidentally, like, make himself lose half his health by trying to draw cards when Narset's going to say no. But I do want to just get rid of that, especially because we can maybe bait out a counter spell, which was actually another big reason for me casting that. So we are going to do this, grabbing the Swamp, and then Mizzix Mastering, the Emergent Ultimatum, which we then cast, and then we target Omnixilus, Omniscience, and Peer into the Abyss. So he's going to pick Omniscience, is my bet. Because you can be like, oh, this one doesn't work. Unless they realize what the combo is, of course. In which case, I get another Emergent Ultimatum. So, yeah, they picked the right combination of things. So, I do get an Omniscience here. So that means I get to cast another Emergent Ultimatum. And they are just going to concede there. Yeah, pretty powerful deck. That is going to do it for our gameplay today. We actually managed to win every single game, which very rarely happens. I've been having a lot of fun with this deck. Hoping it doesn't get banned here. That would really, really suck. Let's end this video up with a pack opening. But yeah, it seems very, very powerful. Maybe a little too powerful. So I would be careful crafting it. It does seem like something that could very easily get banned. So keep that in mind, but I will leave the deck list in the description down below if you guys want to check that out. I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed.